Well, somewhat later than ever. Now today, guys, we got something a little bit different. The unfortunate thing, and yes, this basically spoils the, surprise here. This is basically going to be the next Sprint Showcase phone for y'all. But I had a little bit of an issue, as you can see. I have had a defective unit sent to me. However, I aim to solve this in a way that I have never done before. I'm actually going to repair this thing. So, for all y'all today, you're going to get to learn how to repair not just the 8830 Blackberry, but any Blackberry with this exact screen size right here. I have gone ahead not only ordering this phone off of eBay, but also the screen replacement for it as well. So, come along with me as I help you guys learn how to repair a cell phone that pretty much redefined an entire generation of productivity. Let's get started. Alrighty, like every single repair video, the first thing you always got to make sure you got to do is to power off the device, so the battery basically doesn't interfere with anything else. So for the Blackberry 8830, you just got to hold down the top of this button right here, and it should power it down unless... Yep, there we go. So once the phone is basically powered off, you just gotta slide off this back plate right here. Take out the battery, of course. And then this is where I'm gonna try and get a different angle for this portion of the video, as it seems that this is gonna be a very, very tricky shot for me to execute. So, with all that being said, here we are. So now, make sure, whatever screwdriver you're using, you gotta make sure it has either a T4 or a T5. So if you don't have this single little tip right here, you're not gonna be able to get inside the device at all. So, let's just take off this back portion right here. Here, yes, you could see they used very, very tiny screws back then. This definitely was, hold on. Sorry guys, camera turned off when I was showing you, but basically, that's what you were working with at the time. So we're gonna put these guys off to the side, because, this is, it's a very delicate process, and I'm probably... For this portion of the video, I'm definitely going to fast forward it to make sure that I don't keep you guys completely bored. I know we all got ADHD now, so that's just how we live in. Now that we got the 4 missing screws completely gone right here, we can go ahead and start the next process of the repair, which basically will involve removing these side panels. So I guess this is another little spoiler here, but you see this side's got a volume rocker, this side's got a mini USB, a 3.5mm headphone jack. This was definitely like an action button of some sort, but we'll obviously get more into detail of this for the official review. And then some other weird little funky thing. So what you need to do next is grab essentially a prying tool. Now you can use any sort of prying tool. On the specific guide that I'm looking at right here, it does say that we're going to need to use a plastic tool. So real quick, I'm going to grab a guitar pick so that way I could be able to pry this off without using something metal that could probably actually damage that. So bear with me for a second. Alright, guitar pick acquired. Now we just got to go ahead and go along the edge. So you want to make sure that you're following, if this focus can work, you want to make sure you're following along the edge like right around here until you could actually be able to pry this off. Make sure you're getting like deep inside so that way it becomes like easier to pry off at that last second. Okay. And make sure you pry this off gently, because if you don't do it gently, you're gonna end up like breaking like quite a bit of parts here. Alright. And just make sure you get it along the other side of the device as well, as I imagine that that's going to be the next step in the process. Alright, there we go. Got a clean edge right there. Make sure when you are prying this off that you do not lose any of the buttons, because you are going to need to eventually put them back onto the device once the repair is complete. Alright. Next thing you need to do is to use your plastic opening tool. Again, use a guitar or like those like plastic prying tools that you see like a lot of like electronics fixing kits that use, to basically just get the back casing off. So now you want to basically go underneath and just pry that off.
Alright, so like right under there. And do bear in mind as well, you're gonna probably have
these two buttons like pop out as well, but like that action button that flown off previously, make sure that you hold on to it so that way it doesn't get lost, and then you could obviously be able to put them back together once the time's right. Alrighty, that ended up being a little bit more difficult than expected, but here we are. The plastic seems to have not been affected in any way, shape, or form, so that's a plus right there. And with that process as well, the other side piece did come off. with the volume buttons in the process. So now there's only one other thing that we need to do here. On the top of the device, you'll notice that there is two tiny 9.2 millimeter screws. These are going to be crucial in order to be able to access the ribbon cable that connects to the screen. So once we're able to do that, then we could be able to get inside the device. So using the same screwdriver that we had previously, we are going to get inside the screen of that device. So let's do it.
Alright, and just like that.
This should slide off the front casing. And now, look at that, guys. You never see the backside of a Blackberry before, have you? The trackball will fall out in some instances, so it's best to just kind of keep this face down. But here we go. So this was what the main problem was right here. We did not have a... Come on, focus. There we go. We did not have a working screen previously, so our job now is to remove this little portion right here and be able to replace it with a new one. So, we are going to take care of that right now. My apologies, everybody. It seems like the camera decided to die on me during this portion of the video. But the only other step that we have left with the shell of this device here is to just remove the cable that's attached to the actual screen unit itself. So, how do we get inside that? Well, there's a tab that's attached to the interior casing. So this little tab right here, you just gently pull the tab in away from the phone. So, how do we do that? Well, this is where you actually are going to need probably one of these guys right here to take care of the business. If I can find where this thing is. It's definitely more difficult than you'd expect. I think this is it though. Let's use a nicer pair of pliers, one that's not covered in a bunch of hair here. Okay, and just like that, the old screen is gone. Now, simply to go through the rest of this process, all you need to do is to remember to take your new screen right here and make sure you line it up with this part of the device. So where there's tiny little, what's, I guess, open face sandwiches, you want to make sure that the screen lines up directly with that part. So we're going to take care of that right now. We'll get our new screen out. And yes, for those who are wondering, this is an OEM Blackberry screen, and it is not just for the 8830. This has a variety of uses. So let's say, for example, you break the Blackberry Pearl screen, you could be able to use this screen. If you break the Blackberry Curve 8830 screen, you could be able to replace the screen. The 8960 even, you could even do that. They're all basically the same exact size as this one. So it doesn't really matter as far as like the Blackberry model is concerned, just make sure that it's an OEM one, because if it's not, there's gonna probably be some like issues with like the connectivity in the future. So do keep that in mind. So let's take off the film for this, get a nice little ASMR for y'all. Just like that. Alright, and you want to make sure that you line this up exactly where the old screen was. So like this, and you want to make sure that this gets lined up. Okay.
Something's a little bit amiss here. I'm gonna figure out the reason why. Is this supposed to be the right screen? I just don't know if it's lining up properly. Okay. Just make sure. Sometimes you need to make sure that the connectors are lined up, otherwise it's just not going to register properly. Bear with me for just 1 second.
Alright, after careful insertion right here, here's what it's supposed to look like. Alright, so to finish off the rest of this video right here, I am going to basically be putting this guy back together. However, I'm going to be doing this in its entirety, so people can, understand how to basically This volume button is giving me so much trouble. I don't know if you guys can tell. This has to be like lined up perfectly on the inside here. And it's just taking me like so long to do this. Like so close, guys, so close. There we go. Good as new. Alright, and with that, now we get to put the final screws back into place.
Alright.
And just like that, folks, got all the original screws back into the housing. Now the only thing left to do is just put the battery back in and see if the screen actually works. Alright, so now that we got the battery back in, there we go, folks. Just like that, we have finally repaired the screen on a Blackberry 8830. Now that this repair has finally been done, be sure to give this video a like, as this is the first time that I've ever done any sort of repairing on this channel. This is probably something that I'm going to have to get used to, especially if I keep on buying defective phones from eBay, so there's that to consider. Do keep an eye out on my community tab, on my X account, as well as my Bluesky account. And yeah, this thing will definitely be reviewed at some point. So hopefully that time will come pretty soon. But for now, it's your boy Retro Landline, calling you back from the past and repairing phones as well. Peace out.